Engaging people is a process. It is difficult to achieve and sustain process excellence by only using a voluntary process improvement system. Engagement means more than just employee satisfaction. People need to be engaged in terms of how they spend their time at work, but more importantly, they need to be emotionally engaged in their jobs, and not in a negative way. As with external customers, employees must be engaged in several ways if one wants to integrate process excellence into each employee's job. In order to make sure that this occurs in an integrated manner across the organization, an engagement plan like the one shown on the next page is often used. Formal surveys are used and taken regularly to monitor the pulse of each work group. Leaders are expected to stay in touch with their people and bring concerns to weekly, if not daily, leadership meetings. Engagement is formally measured as well. On earlier pages, example leading and lagging indicators of engagement were shown. Keep in mind that when you're measuring engagement, you're attempting to gauge the degree that employees are willing to be a positive advocate, a raving fan, if you will, for the organization. High levels of engagement are needed for sustained high performance. Positive outcomes are not ensured, however, by simply forming teams, holding monthly town hall meetings, or putting suggestion boxes in the cafeteria. Improvement teams must be properly supported, both financially and in terms of time commitments. The effectiveness of formal engagement must be measured, with action being promptly taken to address process constraints. Engagement done wrong can do more cultural damage to an organization than it does good. People become disillusioned when the expectation of positive change is raised but not met. A flavor of the month mentality sets in when leaders hop from one poorly supported improvement effort to another. Engagement done right, however, is a really great thing to both experience and work within. I know. I've been fortunate enough to live in and help create such environments at multiple locations. It's one of the main reasons I wrote this book, so I could share my ideas and thoughts and learnings with you. Engagement approaches. Example engagement approaches include newsletters, emails and texts, all-hands meetings, surveys, training, work team meetings, surveys, focus and project teams, suggestion system, and intranet. What is the contact frequency for each engagement approach? What percentage of your workforce is touched and to what degree by these approaches? How do you know if an engagement approach is effective? Before we dig too deep into the 10 engagement approaches listed above as they relate to the listed 3 questions, I will let you know that few organizations really think about work in this way right now. These types of activities occur, but they're often not coordinated over time, aligned with key organizational strategies, or designed to help satisfy key workforce needs. Additionally, few organizations measure the effectiveness of these types of approaches on a consistent basis. They know how much the approach costs budget-wise, but they rarely know how well these investments are paying off. Sadly, if these approaches are designed and/or executed in a suboptimal manner, systemic damage could be done to the culture and in turn customer loyalty over time. What is the contact frequency of each approach? The goal here is to engage a high percentage of people in a meaningful and consistent manner over time. Multiple approaches are often used to help ensure the needs of different groups are met while also accommodating different work schedules. Also, different people prefer different communication styles: face-to-face, social media, meetings, training courses, team involvement, and others. What percentage of your workforce is touched and by what degree by each engagement approach? Engagement plans are created to help ensure each employee is engaged to some degree and in a manner that is consistent with strategic direction. However, it must also match the communication preference of the individual. Different forms of engagement are more connecting, if you will. For example, project team involvement engages an employee to a greater degree than attending a monthly town hall meeting. How do you know if an engagement approach is effective? Too few organizations measure the effectiveness of their engagement processes. Employee survey percentages, project team results, and general process improvement trends are great ways to gauge effectiveness in these areas. All work is a process, and all processes have vital signs. All vital signs can be measured and trended over time. Example engagement plan. The above table represents an example of an annual engagement plan. 9 different types of engagement activity are listed, along with the frequency of use and percentage of workforce affected for each approach. Effectiveness measures are also shown for each formal means of engagement. A 5th cost column could also be added to fully round out the plan. Please keep in mind that not all possible engagement approaches are listed. For example, the addition of internal social media and external social media use would definitely be added in my plan. Best practice is to provide every employee with a real-time means to 1. Learn more about the organization and its customers, and 2. Provide input into ways to improve the organization at some level. Social media and other technologies today make this type of formal engagement much easier to both facilitate and manage. For example, properly designed input screens for collecting employee ideas help ensure that the idea submitter provides enough key information to effectively understand and prioritize the suggestion. Database and internet technologies help keep everyone consistently informed using the same information sets, while also capturing ideas and concerns in a manner that allows them to be sorted for use. Apps allow people to accomplish these goals through their smartphones. They don't even have to be near a personal computer these days. As you build an engagement plan, key hurdle questions exist that need to be considered. For example, will you give all employees some form of access to the company intranet? Will you also provide the means of communicating, such as an email address to all employees, not just managers? Are you willing to take the time to assemble a monthly summary of company performance that is communicated to all people, ideally in an open forum, face-to-face manner? To what degree will every leader be expected to learn how to effectively engage their people, both individually and in a group setting? Meaningful engagement comes in 2 forms. First of all, the engagement mechanism itself is meaningful to the people involved. Second, value comes from sharing the information. Process changes occur. Personal and team needs are more effectively met, and meaningful relationships are nurtured within and across organizational levels and groups.